So filed under awesome stuff that happens on YouTube, somebody from NZXT saw one of my videos and noticed in the background of my PC that I was using their Gen 1 Hue Plus lighting system. So they reached out, asked if I wanted to check out the upgrade, asked if I wanted to check out the ambient lighting kit, and I'm like, yeah, bro. I said, sure, I'd love to do a mature, comprehensive, and detailed analysis of your product. You ready? Let's go. Yo, I'm Brian P. You're watching Bad Seed Tech, and today we're taking a look at the Hue 2 RGB system, the Hue 2 Ambient Kit, and a couple new Hue 2 AER fans from NZXT. And yeah, for transparency, these were sent out by NZXT, but as you should know by now, doesn't affect my review in any way. Okay, so the Hue 2 is an RGB lighting system for your PC and now your monitor, and it works in three parts. The Hue 2 system itself, which you can find for just a hair over $80, it includes the control module plus four 300mm RGB strips, 10 LEDs each. These have an adhesive back and are magnetic as well. You can then add Hue 2 AER fans. These come in 120 and 140mm variants, available for like $30 and $33 respectively, but you can find deals on triple packs, dual packs, packs that actually have the module inside, so just shop around. There's also the ambient lighting kit for the rear of your monitor. These are priced by screen size, but will run you right around the $110 mark, and we'll dig into that a little bit later. Starting with the Hue 2 kit itself, I'm not new to this. I've run the original Hue Plus for a couple years now, and they've made some really smart revisions to the system. So I start by removing the old control unit, which is buried in a 2.5mm drive bay in the basement of my case. Probably a good time to point out here that the case you're seeing in this video is a Meshify C. If you have an NZXT case that has that I designation, it already has a Hue controller built in. So we're gonna get that old guy out of there and use this opportunity to clean house a bit as we go. So the unit itself is gonna have a line from it that needs to go to an open USB 2 header. So you're gonna need to have one of those on your motherboard. Two, in fact, if you're also going to be running an AIO like the X62 you see in this system. It also needs a power line out to a Molex connector. Not my favorite thing, should probably be SATA at this point, but the OG also used Molex as well, so I was already wired for it. The new unit handles four different channels that can tackle 40 LEDs each, so that's like four 300mm strips or 5 AER fans per. The old unit could only do 2 channels. The other thing I discovered during install is that the new unit is magnetic, and the finish is pretty much identical to any sprayed case internals. This is amazing, as now I can just stick it to the rear of the motherboard tray. The other godsend here with this positioning is it's going to make cable managing the Hue install much easier. And make no mistake, cable managing RGB fans is super tedious because not only do you have the fan lead, but you're going to have at least one RGB lead, sometimes two if you're daisy chaining, coming off each fan. We're going to start with an RGB strip, something I don't currently have installed in this case because there's not a lot of great places to tuck these away, but I did find a nice little spot between the edge of the case and the top fans. The strip being magnetic made the install a breeze. The only thing I did have to do was pull the rear fan, which needed some serious cleaning anyway. Had this been an adhesive strip, this install would have been much more difficult. So as I currently have two 140mm and a single 120 in the rear, I opted to put these two new fans in the front of the case as radiator fans for the X62. So we pop the front off and get the old fans out. These new fans have a fan lead and then an in and out port because you're going to be daisy chaining them together in one channel. Just please make sure you get the in channel seated all the way. Now, as far as performance go, these fans do a pretty good job. They're pretty quiet most of the time. My CPU is overclocked to 5 gigahertz, so when I'm doing something like rendering or encoding, they can top out at 1500 RPM. They do get a bit noisy, but under normal use, even when I'm gaming, they don't get that loud at all, and I run this case open most of the time. I will spare you the tedium of reassembly, so here's what we're gonna look like when everything is said and done. All right, we're already looking pretty solid, but the real star of the show for me, the Hue 2 Ambient Lighting Kit. Now for me, this was a beast to install. How difficult this is for you greatly depends on how flat the rear of your monitor is. Something like this BenQ 32-inch curved panel would be a walk in the park, like a 15-minute install. I chose my main panel, my ride or die 4-year-old XB270 HU panel from Acer, 1440p, 144 Hz, IPS G-Sync. And yikes, the rear of this panel is like a topographical map of hell thanks to this big curved rectangular bar that runs the full length of the rear and these awesome placed USB pass-throughs on the one side. The 26-inch to 32-inch kit that I got included 4 300mm strips and 4 250mm strips. These These are magnetic also, but that's not gonna help us out here. Basically, we're gonna take these strips and make L's out of them with corner connectors and arrange them in a rectangle on the rear of the panel. They include a wet and dry cleaning cloth here, so we're gonna go ahead and take care of that so there's no oils from your fingers, so this adhesive can really do its job. I started with the sidebar strips because that was gonna be the biggest challenge, and then I worked out from there. They do give you adhesive backing for the corner pieces as well, which is really gonna help anchor those down, but I was worried about the end pieces because especially coming off that curve, there's no way those things were gonna stay put. I wound up using some heavy duty 3 impact Velcro. I just cut it the width of the strip and mounted them that way just to give a little extra stick. It also added some height there so it reduces some of the strain as well. Now we're also gonna need to mount the module onto the panel with included double-sided Velcro as well. Off this module, you'll have connections for both strips, a power connector that goes to the wall, and a very lengthy USB connector that goes to the PC. When all is said and done, it looks like this. I was worried about cold spots where there were no LEDs causing some issues, but as you can see, this is not a problem at all. What makes this kit so cool is that of course it does regular RGB stuff that we've come to know, but it also does a smart ambient mode where it mimics the colors on your display. I've been kind of skeptical of stuff like this in the past, thinking it may be a little janky in practice, but it's not here at all. It's really responsive and fast and adds a great layer of immersion to the game. The panel is on my test desk for now, but it usually lives on an arm on my main desk, and honestly, I'm like little kid Christmas morning stoked about this. Even when you look up at like a light source on a ceiling in game, it makes the light up on the wall. The color fidelity is spot on too. I worry that the camera doesn't really capture how accurate this looks in real life. And it's strong too. If you're lucky enough to have white or light gray walls like I have in here, you're gonna get a really big effect. And it's not just like RGB craziness all the time either. You can dial in some really clean looking color coordinated setups, and it's actually gonna color map whatever wallpaper you're using. If you use something like Wallpaper Engine that has animations, it will carry that effect onto the wall as well. The newer kit will support ultra wide monitors, and they've made huge improvements to the mounting stuff, so much so that if you have a Gen 1 kit and you can prove it, you can get a hold of NZXT and they'll upgrade you. So all this is controlled by the NZXT CAM software, which is really granular when it comes to handling lighting functions. This is what I meant when I was saying controlled by channels. Each channel has its own mode and color selection. CAM also monitors some other aspects of your hardware and your system as well, and I know CAM software historically has not been great. It's had its issues. I've lived through them personally, but it's been solid for a while now, and they are constantly tweaking and improving. Aside from some conflicts with the G-Skill RAM, like the software that controls that G-Skill RAM is total garbage. I don't have any issues with CAM software. So obviously overall, I'm a big fan of what they put together here. Now it's not all roses. Wiring for RGB accessories can be really tedious. You better love creative cable management. And the install on that ambient kit for your monitor can be a drag depending on which panel you pick. I think I picked like the hardest one, but they've done a really good job of designing a one-size-fits-all product for what is definitely not a one-size-fits-all application. It sucks that the Meshify case obscures the front Hue 2 fans, but it's kind of a cool effect. If only NZXT made like a really gorgeous case with a glass front so you could see your RGB fans. It's not a cheap system, but RGB stuff seldom is. For the system that you see pictured in today's video, minus the X62 all-in-one cooler, we're still just a little bit north of $350. These are dress-up parts for people that put a lot of emphasis on the aesthetics of their overall system, and I don't think it's any big secret that I like RGB. But that ambient kit, man, that is just cool as shit. It really adds a new level to your gaming experience. Install was a little bit challenging for me, but it is so worth it. I'm super geeked about it. Big thanks to NZXT for sending this stuff out for review. I definitely have my eye on that new H510 Elite case. If it looks as good in person as it does in the pics, it's going to be a strong contender for my main rig. As always, I will leave affiliate links for everything that we talked about in the description down below. If you have any questions about anything I covered in today's video, hit me up in the comments or drop by the Discord and I'll try to get you fixed up. And that's it for this time. I'm Brian P. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that sub button, and until next time, stay up.